Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whichever, however, wherever, whenever you shall be watching this, if you shall choose to watch this. And if you choose to watch this, I appreciate it. Your time is valuable and you chose to spend it watching me talk about stuff. Today is January 31st. I've just been thinking that this month kind of flew by, despite the a little bit of a rough start, so to speak. Not crazy. I'm grateful for how it's went so far, despite maybe like dealing with some of the sleep issues and post-COVID stuff and whatnot, but it's in comparison to a lot of other things that can go wrong. I'm grateful. I try to remain that way regardless. 30 days, 31 days, it's been. So yeah, the month actually flew by. Reflecting on actually doing this, I'm actually kind of glad I was consistent and stuck with this and did this, because it's again, it was kind of therapeutic to do, even if nobody watched, regardless. It provided a little bit of an outlet from a time where from a situation where I'm normally pretty much solo. I don't really have any close friends, so it's a good way to kind of like vent or just talk about stuff. Normally, usually I'm pretty quiet, keep to myself and reserved, and so when you have things on your mind, things you necessarily would like to express to someone, just to kind of vent, and you don't have that outlet, it can over time affect you to some degree if you don't have some kind of other outlet that is sufficient enough to make do. Well, sometimes you just can't beat human, social interactions. Obviously, we need that social interaction. So yeah, so next month, starting tomorrow, I will be at least try to do a video day to day, every day, just like this month. And but this time around, the videos will be focused or catered to something like, just like how I kind of touched upon in one of my last videos about the month of February, is I'll make it themed to something. So what does blank mean to me, or what does love, what does happiness, what does humor, what does so on and so forth mean to me. It's gonna be straight to the point. Concurrently, I will also be doing the 2800 push-up challenge for benefiting St. Jude, because I think that's a good cause worthy. So basically, I can do, even if I can't do 100 consistently or consecutively, or like even then breaking it up in sets, I'll probably just do 4 sets of 25 a day, and just kind of do like a set or 2 at intervals. So no stranger to push-ups. I used to be able to do quite a bit. I mean, I wasn't breaking any records, but it was actually part of my nightly routine when I was more active in the gym, along with doing planks and whatnot. So for those of you who've stuck around, even if you haven't commented or not shared or liked, whatever, I'm glad you came. I appreciate your engagement regardless. It's sometimes just that alone, or at least me personally, think that's cool that at least one of you tuned in and not watching my videos. So at least someone out there, regardless of wherever you are, can see the view or see how another person's life is going from a different perspective than from the typical. So there's one thing, you know, where you may be, say, an Instagram poster where you always share the positives or always share the things that you want the people to see, but at the same time you don't really get a glimpse, or you don't really get much of a glimpse in the opposite. And I get it. It's all comes down to energy, law of attraction, and whatnot. People don't necessarily want to watch bad things, or people go through struggles on a consistent basis. It can leave a harsh impact, a negative impact, or a negative influence on someone's overall mood and whatnot. But I try to share what I go through in a way that's not like bringing you down or anything, but just more just like, this is how it is, and this is what I've been having to deal with, and yeah. So but yeah, this month kind of flew by. Next month I will be again doing that, and yeah. So I guess today's last subject for this video for this month would be having, you know, or just being consistent. Consistency is extremely important, regardless of whatever it is that you're doing or saying, whatever. Consistency in general is kind of is what allows you to get into a habit. Habits, now, depending on what they are, can be good or bad, beneficial or not beneficial. But in order for you to maintain a habit, you need to be consistent. You need to train yourself. You need to train your mind, train yourself to get used to that, and would actually be something that you would ultimately look forward to, especially if it's something that's good for you and something that you would enjoy. Try to avoid the bad habits. Sometimes we slip into a habit that we may not necessarily would have pictured ourselves getting into, or seemed like it was out of our control. Usually that kind of stuff is due to circumstances one is dealing with in their lives, and sometimes it's hard getting out of that, especially if you're still dealing with the problem, because it's sort of an outlet, it's sort of a gateway to try to cope, and it's not necessarily a good coping mechanism to indulge in a bad habit, because ultimately it can be more destructive than it is productive or healing. But yeah, I think baby steps. Even let's say if you're trying to change bad habits, or a bad habit, try to swap it with something that can replace it but be a good habit. Now, it's going to be probably a bit hard to be consistent in the beginning for that. It's probably going to be hard to kind of associate that or try to make the switch, because more often than not, sometimes the way the mind works is you can try to deviate, and so you try to switch a bad habit with a good habit, and what sometimes happens is you associate that bad or that old with the new. So it's like you'd always be reminded of your old habit when you're doing your new habit, although your new habit may be beneficial for you. And in certain situations like that, it doesn't mean it's impossible to maintain that good habit. It's just more like when you find yourself getting into the swing of maintaining that good habit, it may also be helpful for you to find ways to kind of like deal with that association, to detach from that. So you can, instead of having it coupled with it, you slowly tear down that old association, and this way you just have You'll maintain a consistent mindset, maintain a consistent thought pattern, which is a good habit. You'll remember, but it won't be an influence on you. But yeah, that's I consider that immensely important. Consistency in general, whether it be exercising, maintaining your diet, a career, relationship. Consistency is immensely important. It shows that you're putting effort. You're maintaining that effort. You're dealing that regardless of the situation, regardless of how it goes, and you're maintaining. You're being consistent. You're sticking to it, regardless of the outcome, and that shows how strong-willed you can be, regardless of the bad that may happen during that time. So it's like we work out at the gym, and you get an injury, a really bad injury. You tore a meniscus, or you broke something, and it almost permanently impairs some kind of motor function or movement in a limb, and you're not going to be able to retain or maintain the same mobility like you used to. It's possible that you still can get the results that you are looking for, despite maybe not getting the same results, but you can. You just got to kind of work around it. So it's like, crap, I got this injury. How can I work around it to still get the results that I'm looking for, although it may not be results that I would have gotten if I hadn't gotten the injury? You're still working with it. You're still being consistent. You're working through the hurdle. And when you finally push through that hurdle and you still get the results that you were looking for, or after the fact, it's even more fulfilling. So yeah, that's just my bit of talk for my subject today, and I hope that makes you think, and just put something in this perspective. Maybe if you haven't thought about it, haven't thought about something in a particular way before, and it kind of maybe shaking the marbles in your head, if you have marbles. Other than that, thanks for watching. I appreciate you watching. You're cherished, loved, and valued. You mean the most to the people around you. You are the world. You mean the most to yourself. You mean the world to yourself. Take it easy on yourself. Take care of yourself. Try to avoid letting your mind wander into a stray of negative thinking, negative patterns. I know it's harder, especially if you've gotten used to that because of circumstances, but you can get out. It may seem like it's impossible or it's extremely difficult. It may be difficult initially, but you need to make, if you make the effort and you are consistent with making that effort, you can get out of that, and you can get better. You will get better. You gotta tell yourself that you will get better. Don't just say I might get better. I will get better. You will get better. Obviously, don't just tell yourself I might. You will. It's confidence in your ability to recover despite the circumstances that you may be going through that is challenging as hell. But yeah, so again, you're valued, cherished, loved. Hang in there. Rough tides will calm. Storm will pass. Cherish those around you. Tell your family that you love them, because sometimes we neglect to say those simple things, and sometimes it actually may brighten someone's day just reading that or hearing that. So thanks for watching, and you have a great rest of your day.